still, but obviously changing you.
Well, it distracts you from the whole. So that's the best it can do. But while you're distracted from the whole is becoming more real because you were driven to try to distract yourself. Are you going to drive this? Are you going to be driven to try to distract yourself from something that's not real? No, you're not. Okay. So we don't understand that we're lending reality to things by trying to get out of them. Really. Because there's a lot of power going on in the dreaming. And if the Course in Miracles was correct, or is correct, which is just a book, like a download that happened, and a lady received all this information and she thought it was sort of pretty strange. So one of her colleagues transcribed it, and then it became a thing called the Course in Miracles. Well, the Course in Miracles basically says that we are the dreaming of this dreaming, yeah? Not that we're an object in the dream or that we're in someone else's dream. We are the act of dreaming. So that's what we do. We see something, we give it a meaning, don't we?
Yeah.
The tree never tells you it's an oak. You say it's an oak tree.
Yeah.
Trees never said fucking anything. So, yeah, so our role is to give meaning to things. What's that but dreaming? We can make, what's that but how, if this was a real place and all these ideas were real ideas and real things, how could we make mountains out of molehills? Yeah. If it was a molehill, it would be a molehill. If it was a mountain, it would be a mountain. You couldn't make a mountain out of a molehill if there was really a molehill. It would stay a molehill. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all these things imply something. If you get the hints, they lead you to a possibility. And maybe you heard it framed once in an old, when you were visiting someone and they had a blue book and it was the Course of Miracles and you read this, and then you go, aha, that's dreaming, yes? Yeah, so now you've been using the dream to dream yourself out of it. So there's a dream book, you read it 8 years ago, then you start seeing what it was saying in your own life and go, wait a minute, if I'm giving everything all the meaning it has, then I must be the act of dreaming. Yeah, I must be the actual act of it because I'm giving meaning to shit all day. And the only way you can give meaning to something is if it was empty of meaning. If it already had a meaning, how would you give a meaning to it? If it already had a meaning and it was solid and galvanized, and that was that, this is what it was, this is what it's gonna be, this is what it is, you wouldn't be able to give it a meaning. But if it's empty of meaning, you can give it a meaning, yeah? That's why in Buddhism, they talk about emptiness. Yeah, what do they mean by emptiness? It's empty of any reality, yeah? So it's an appearance. Something is appearing to be so, but it needs us to appear to be so. It needs the observing of it to appear to be so, yeah? If not, then was there anything to really see if you're not seeing it?
You know, I have heard this once, and it's made a lot of sense at the time. But the thing about having a partner in life is you have someone to observe your life, to witness.
Yeah, yeah.
Words witness.
It gives meaning to it.
It gives meaning.
Yes.
What's meaning of it? Right?
Exactly, just like people do better with purpose than not. You know, most people without a purpose, you see a lot of men because there's an act of being identified with their job. When they retire, they go through some heavy stages and a lot of them start drinking excessively and they get fucked up because their whole meaning to life was coming from what they thought they did. Now they're not doing it. They let another meaning comes, you're a fucking loser or something else, yes? Because it's always a two-sided coin. Just like if you feel like you achieve something, you can also feel like you're gonna lose it. So therefore, it's never a clear deal. So yeah, an action figure does better with a purpose. Now, do you need a purpose of transcending the 11 rings of hell, or maybe finding a latte. You're probably more successful finding a latte. Yeah, there you go. You can enjoy your goal, and it only costs you
Let it go and move on.
a couple of miles of driving and $5. Instead of, I've surrendered my whole life and nothing's happened. So
I didn't even find one of the 12 circles.
there you go. So there's, are we on, bro? Yeah. Yeah, all right. Well, that's the thing is, like with this message, how you come in here is what the message is negating. The assumption that you're Joyce or Paul coming to a meeting and sitting down is basically the topic of the whole meeting, is to negate that. Not to negate it, it's just to point it out, yeah? Because if you are what you're looking for, then it's impossible to find it, you see? The only thing you may be actually doing is looking for, using what you're looking for to look for itself. That's pretty much the description of our daily routine. We're using what we are to try to find what we are. That's why it fails. It's not personal. It's not like you're the only one who's gonna miss this. It does, you can't get it. That's the great news. The great news, see, heard by what you're not, it's fucked up. It's not good news, because it's getting meaning out of that drive to arrive at the absolute state. It is. It's getting a meaning right now that's making itself, which isn't you, feel better. It doesn't want that meal taken away. So it says it wants to, you know, it will take, oh, I'm flawed or I'm impure and I can work on myself and I'll become what I've always been, or some fucking crazy, that makes absolutely no sense. If you've always been that, how could you ever become it, you know? But you know what I mean? It becomes like a drive and meaning is given and you feel better. Just like when I came into recovery, I mean, I remember the best time I ever felt was when I was searching for God, yeah, instead of searching for Coke. Yeah, so I was drawn to that, and I got a better feeling than I usually had about this experience when I was, you know, meditating and going forward. That's great, but the story wasn't about just feeling better. It was about, I'm going to transcend, and I'm going to go, and really, I just didn't want to be affected by anybody else. So I call it equanimity or divine indifference. I was all for that. I didn't want it to be affected by anyone. That was what the head really wanted. It wasn't, call it what you wanted to, you know, but while it was moving towards that goal, which it was, see, it was very comfortable with that goal because it knows it's never going to get there. When it's going towards that goal of complete obliviation of what you're not, all the while the emphasis is on what you're not, every step to the obliviation. That's a word, the oblivion, the extinguishment of Paul takes a lot of time usually. If you see you're not that, it doesn't take any time at all. Yeah, so the whole point is we walk into this room and that whole assumption is questioned, hopefully. Because if it isn't, basically the horse is out of the barn. You've lost the whole point. And then it becomes relational therapy or whatever it may be, which is fine in its point and if it's in its place. But the questioning is the idea that you are hearing this message. Yeah, there's a hearing of the message, but the idea it's you that's hearing the message, and that you that's hearing the message has heard a lot of messages just like this message. So you've already fucking neutered the invitation. Yes, and you see it. The system, as soon as it arrives at that great party you heard about, it sucks. That's what happens. Yeah. And you can't seem to get to the party and it's still being great when you arrive. And this is what the head keeps on. It wants to be here to experience its own absence. It does. It thinks it's going to be Paul is going to witness the obliviation of Paul. It's not. It's going down with the ship. There's not, This ain't like Robinson Crusoe. No, there's no Robinson Crusoe in this. It's bye-bye. Yeah, it's not even bye-bye because you were never there. It's just an activity that was going on. Yeah, so this is why the whole basis of the talks are rooted in this premise, which is being ourselves reality. That's basically the premise. Yeah? As Ramana said, the greatest mystery, Ramana Maharshi, the greatest mystery is reality wanting to attain reality. And we could laugh at that and, oh, that's a pretty interesting idea. But one aspect of that reality is called Paul. We don't notice that usually. So the greatest mystery is Paul, AKA reality, wanting to attain reality. Yeah, you see it? If you see it from Paul, it makes total sense to want to attain reality. There's a lot of other Pauls and Jims and Marys with Shrees in front of their name and Anands after their name, who are promoting, yes, Paul, you can find reality. You can merge in reality. Not today, obviously, but if you work and and all the emphasis is on you, yes? And it rightfully should be, yeah? I'm going to be there to get it, and I've got to do a lot of work on this to get it ready to be there to get it. Yeah, but you're not. That's the good news. That's the beauty of it. What could sound like, oh, this sucks, is a hallelujah. It's just how it's heard. So you get to a point where non-duality gives meaning to a lot of your suspicions, really. You've had a lot of suspicions that, and maybe the fucking system I'm practicing doesn't work. It's not because I haven't sat long enough, or I didn't kiss the master's foot long enough. Oh, I shouldn't. I got diverted. I missed the secret handshake, or whatever it may be. Maybe you just realize, hey, I can't get out. Yeah, it seems like I can't fucking get out. No matter what I do, I still show up. How can I? And there's a suspicion grows, but of course the self-centered system just keeps turning it on itself and blaming you or blaming the teacher, so you go to another teacher or so on and so forth. You realize there is no teacher who has anything to give you. There's a lot of giving through the teacher maybe, but the teacher doesn't have shit. If it's a really incredible teacher, it's quite inherently empty of any sense of being a teacher. Yeah, it's just being used like a nondescript fountain to bring the water. The emphasis isn't on, let's build a temple to the fountain. Oh, no great fountain. The fountain's job is to carry the water. The water is the quencher of that thirst. Yeah. So, all right, so you walk in here, and what the assumption or how it was shared with me was there's an activity of that mental condition that we either have or we're in or somewhere it's around in our vicinity. That mental condition is claiming whatever's happening at a point where we're not seeing it, yeah? Because it's been doing it in its story for so long, we've come in a weird way to agree with it, yeah? So we begin a couple seconds after the experience of what we really are is, which is consciousness, if you want to call it that, or awareness, you know? Having contact through seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, yeah? That's basically what's going on. And then a second or two later, the mental state has claimed that and turned it into an interpretation that it's you that saw that stuff. It's you that's hearing everything. It's you that's feeling everything. And you are definitely doing everything that comes through this body. You're fucking responsible for that. And therefore, yeah, right from the get-go, the assumption has been presupposed that you're something that you're not. Yeah. So now you come to a message, let's say a meeting about truth, and you're hearing it from the exact activity that's denying the truth of what we are. You see? So this fundamental thing going on. The meaning of truth will probably be claimed to reinforce the falsehood that you're based on, That's the point, because it will be you that's hearing the truth. I finally heard the truth. No, you are the truth. Yes, this is the premise of non-duality. Is it's not like you're in a suspended place that you could be anything. No, you are fundamentally not that which you're taking yourself to be, because you are reality. Yeah, that's the assumption. Agree or disagree, argue with the fucking Raman or whoever you want to. But that's basically, if you're gonna pass the lineage of non-duality along, that's the lineage. Is the assumption is we are what we're looking for. That's the assumption, that you are inherently you are and will always be, time or no time, exactly inherently that which you are. Yeah. And nothing has happened to cause any difference in that, and nor will there anything ever happen that will cause a difference in that. The only thing that it's like that statement by the guy, he says, you know, there are no illusions, they're all illusory. We manufacture them. Yeah, the only thing that could fool reality is reality itself. Yeah. The only thing that allows false evidence to appear real is that it's appearing to reality, us. Yeah. So when false evidence appears real to reality and the reality takes it to be so, it appears real. Why? Because the only way it can get reality lent to it is by and through reality. We're that.
That's the witnessing.
Well, it's beyond, the witnessing is an act, there's no witnesser. See, witnessing is just another way of, let's say, speaking of awareness uncluttered by a lot of other embroideries, so to speak. So you call it the witnessing, but most people start calling it the witness or the witnesser, and there's no witness, there's no thing that's witnessing, there's witnessing. There is no object or non-object that's doing witnessing. There's just witnessing. There's no one witnessing. This is the mental logic that's so fucking stubborn. If it notices something's going on, there's got to be someone who did it or something that's doing it. Who says that? Only from our own false logic we come to that conclusion. Don't you see it? We can't see that verb stand alone. We don't. We see a verb, as soon as I sense a verb, there's a noun. And if not finding one, we make one up, really. We don't find a noun, so we just assume and presuppose there is one. And then we go on our merry way, bitching about how heavy and how it sucks to be a noun, all the while not being a noun. And there's nothing worse than a non-noun trying to get out of being a noun. That's its trap, you see. You start looking at your nature as a goal you want to arrive at from the false story that we're living from. Yeah.
And then we make that into a noun.
Yes, well, we don't make it into a noun, we call it a noun. We don't make anything. God doesn't get made by us in a way.
Yeah.
The idea of it, yeah, but what it implies, no. Yeah. Yeah, then there's no God anyway. There would be godding or being. Yeah. I like the word being much better because it captures the activity. Yeah, that doesn't coagulate into a thing. It's just being. It's not implying there's something that's being, it's being. Just pure, unadulterated, formless being. Yeah. Then being as that, it's like the story we used to tell about the, those little box cameras you used to buy when you were traveling around, in like a cardboard box. It would only have one roll in it. And then you bring it back, you never see the cardboard camera again. They give you 12 pictures or something. Yeah, mostly the worst, because you couldn't even see through the plastic lens. It was just hopefully point and hope you could catch it because you couldn't even see the object. Yeah, but it's sort of like there's that cardboard box, yeah, and then there's this huge, credible camera, super HD, panoramic view, everything. And it has a mobile tripod, so it's walking around, sees this little camera, recognizes its function. Yeah, I see through this. Yeah. So it sees, it looks through the brownie, but then it forgets seemingly. It's all based on time and space. Without the dreaming, there would be no dreaming. You'd be, yeah, whatever. So it sees the camera, looks through it, and while looking through it, it seemingly forgets that what it is that's looking through it and takes itself to be what it's looking through. Yes, obviously you can use the cardboard to represent the body. Yeah. All right, so now that huge camera forgets all about its own essence and nature, and now is sort of waylaid by this identification, and the pictures suck. It's not feeling that great about itself. It knows it's going to be in the garbage cans. It doesn't have a great future. You know what I mean? So what it does is it saves up some money and says, I'm going to buy a $5,000 Nikon lens, and then the pictures will be a whole lot better. But you don't realize, yeah, that Nikon lens is incredible, but if you put it on a plastic lens, that's before it, the plastic lens is going to determine the quality of the picture, not the add-on lens. So you can wear as many philosophical glasses as you like, but they're not going to change probably the identification as what you're not. Really, they're not. Yeah. That job isn't for that. It's to reinforce it, really. Yeah, to give you a crusade with you in each frame of the movie. The great one who's going to surrender his life to the ultimate. It's very rarely about the ultimate. It's always about you. So, all right. Someone shows up, maybe the camera got whacked or something, but let's say someone else showed up and said, hey, and who had remembered the big camera, recognizes the big camera as the big camera, even though when he's talking to the big camera thinks he's talking to the brownie. So the guy goes, hey, wait a minute. Hey, you're not the brownie. It doesn't have to say, well, we're going to have a retreat of what you're exactly like. You're a great fucking camera. You're a great camera. Okay, yes. Get me more Nikon. No, we're going to say what you're not. You're not the fucking brownie. Yeah. That to me is clear direction. So to start talking to that big camera about the big camera through the identification as the little camera doesn't go fucking anywhere, has it? People have gone to 500-600 meetings. Yeah, I'm looking at everybody. We go to tons of meetings, and the basic premise is never, it just gets translated because we're waiting for that to change, and it's not necessary for it to change. This does not have to co-sign your journey to where you already are. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's mechanical. You're not doing it. You're not doing selfing. You're not fucking things up. You're not. Yeah. The identification as this is the obscuring factor. It's not like I've chosen bad rides and I have to choose good rides. You are the ride in this event. And you can't get out of this ride as the ride. You can't. Yeah, you can get out of other rides called relationships or shit like that. You can't get out of this ride as this ride. It's a fact, completely. Never will, never has. It ain't gonna happen. Yeah. Even though the mental logic doesn't believe that, because the mental logic thinks it's gonna leave this ride and go into another ride and go into another ride. It ain't. It's just a voice of this ride, as this ride, within this ride. It doesn't transcend anywhere. It doesn't. It's part and parcel of the ride. It's not in the ride. That which is talking isn't a fucking spiritual picture of you. It's just a voice from the brain. It's all made up. Yeah, so it's talking as if, okay, when it gets really bad, I'm out of here. It ain't, no, it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, so the great news about this message is you're not going to get it. You're not going to have a huge run of experiencing it almost constantly. You're not. It's not going to happen because you're being it. It's completely all the time you're being it. That's why you don't notice it. If you could stop being it and then recognize it when you start being it, you'd really fucking probably drop down on your knees and just fucking sing a hallelujah. But because there's no absence of it, you don't know its presence, really, because of the system we're using to try to pick it up. We're trying to understand something from something that can't be understood. This is a failed system. It's perfectly suited for what it's doing here, but it's not a chariot of the gods. It isn't. Yeah. It isn't. Yeah. While you're sitting there trying to meditate yourself into nirvana, its left cheek hurts. It just wants to fucking get up. It does. Its knees are shot. It's fucking what the hell, you know? But there's no interest in going to the promised land. It doesn't. It's just fucking, if it could disavow you, it would. It would get another one, another rider. But it can't seem to shake you off. So it's patiently hoping, hope this motherfucker gets it. So I can get on with being healthy and other shit. That's more important to me than transcending and seeing the original face of God. So we share that. We try to share, like the idea we tell the story about the older lion and the younger lion, seeing their reflection, and the younger lion gets at its lion by seeing it has the same look as the older lion. Yes, whammo. But what happens when it walks away from the pond? That's not addressed by the parable. What happens when it walks away from the pond? The mental state kicks in, and the mental state is based on the assumption you're a sheep. And now the mental state says, as a sheep, I had an incredible lion experience. I'm going to go back to my sheep flock, and we're going to buy pictures of lions. I'm going to open up a lion church, and I'll be the head priest of the lion. You know, I'll get my hair straightened out. No more sweaters for me. Bah! So, and unbeknownst, really, in a way, the lion then stays muted, stays quiet, and it lives under and as the context of really an interpretive dream of being a sheep, all the while being a lion. Yes. So if that is the case, that's what's being presented. That's the case. Being ourselves reality, and yet in this dreaming, there's a mental movement that has you believe in you're a sheep, let's say, and your nature is of lion. Well, what's more important, to have giant soliloquies about how you are a lion or how you're going to be a lion, or let's just see if you're a sheep? Yeah, not a personal sheep. Let's just explain. In time, a mental condition kicks in. Its movement is to claim. What does it claim? What's happening? What's that? Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, doing, smelling. Yeah, claims it, and it presupposes something after the claiming that now believes it's before anything, even the claiming. So now you think you're doing the claiming. Yeah, that's the bondage of self. The bondage of self travels to heaven and travels to hell. Yeah, it's not a denizen of one or the other. If you're in heaven, it'll say, "Oh, I'm the one who's in heaven, but I'll be going to hell soon." If you're in hell, "Oh, I'm the one in hell. I'm going to be here forever." It has different tunes, but they're exactly the same scene. The same crooner or the same singer will always be assumed or implied. Heaven, hell, retreat, fucking 6th Street and Market, same, yes, always. So you recognize, all right, what's the head doing? Well, claiming. What's it claiming? What's happening? Yeah. What is it doing with it? It's interpreting it. How is it interpreting it? From a self-centered view. What do you mean by self-centered? The whole interpretation centered on being a self, which is, all right, what's that? A long-lasting, independent, separate entity. How is that represented? It represents the claiming of doing as the doer, claiming of seeing as the seer, claiming of hearing as the hearer, claiming as the, a problem as the one who has the problem. That's what it is, okay? Now, you mean when I walked in here, that was going on in some area that I may not be too aware of? Yes, that's the assumption. Okay? You don't have to be aware that you're getting fucked, you're getting fucked. That's the whole point. Okay, now, all right, what do I do? See, yes, nothing. What do you mean nothing? Well, there's nothing you can do really. Because as soon as you do something, it will claim the doing and you'll be reinforcing the doer again. What the fuck? Yeah. I mean, I know there's something to do. No, there really isn't. I know you're lying. We are going to get some. No, you're not getting anything. Yeah. Just a negation of this activity. Why? Because it's been given a false affirmation. That's the only reason why. There's no need to negate it other than there's an act of being affirming it, which is what we're doing all day, unbeknownst to us, as the Course would say on that statement, firm in faith in being this something else we've made to be ourselves. Sounds incredibly clear, doesn't it? Firm in faith, yeah, to be this something else we made to be ourselves, yeah, which is what? This idea of being a long-lasting, independent, separate thing, being the doer, the hearer, the feeler. Because listen, if you weren't the doer, then whose life would it be anyway? If you just took that one plug out, you don't even go anywhere else, just take the plug out of being the personal doer, whose life would it be anyway? Your whole narration would collapse. It hangs on such a precarious thread, which is this idea of being the doer, the seer, the feeler. Yeah, and most importantly, the doer in its version here. Yeah, if you took that plug out and you sat with, yeah, whose life would it be anyway? There you go. You're in that land before thought, because thought can't touch it. Thoughts are stunned. You're like sitting there, and yet something's going on, even though all that you think was you just got paused. Something has been paused. What the fuck more do you need to see? Yeah, so you get that hit, come back to satsang. Hey, what's the main movement of the mental state? Claiming. How fast is it? Pretty fast. So basically, whatever process you set out to beat that process, you're going to lose, because when your ass is going to the pillow, it's already cast you as the meditator. You even haven't started meditating yet. You're getting ready to meditate. It has already projected you as the meditator. So now you sit for 2 hours, unbeknownst to you, something's at work. While you're seemingly doing nothing, it's ka-king, 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 yes? And then you walk out of the room, and now you feel like you're a meditator. And that feels like an upgrade when I felt like I was an asshole driving the retreat. So it was worth the $2,000 or $3,000. But after a while, if you become a meditator, yeah, and that claiming continues to do, you'll be a meditating asshole, really. Yes, doesn't it? You'll be, oh, I don't hang out with other people who don't meditate, or some fucking weird stick up your ass in a way, yes. Oh, I've gone to 7 continents for retreats. What have you done? What, a one-day retreat? Come on. So, there's pride in every activity because there's a sense, there's an identification as the doer this way. When I was shooting dope, there was pride in that. It was. In cocaine usage, because I didn't act out on tweaking after 7 or 8 days up, I had a supreme level of respect of other heavy duty cocaine users. And I respected other ones who didn't tweak out. The ones who were looking through the window underneath the door, fucking fuck, we would love to see them leave. And we could get down to real business. So in that little realm, there was tons of pride going on. Yes. The thing, it's not about And it has nothing to do with volition. This is the sticking point. Why we don't want to see that is because we think it's us. And for it to be us, it would be unbearable. So let's just fucking live with that elephant in the room. And I won't say, I see your elephant, and you don't say you see my elephant, and we'll just continue on, you know? Because it's unbearable to what we're not. Yeah, it is. For you, when you know. So this is the message, really. Being ourselves reality. If that's the case, you and I looking for reality is the greatest mystery in the eyes of Ramana Maharshi, who's like the godfather of non-duality. Yeah, so his look has some meaning, I would say. So, and the basic premise is what's going on is there's this presupposing, and the word pre is incredibly important. Yeah, because it's of time, yes. So pre means before, yeah, something. So before you know it, there's a presupposing of this non-existent thing, the body, right now, yeah, to be existing, yeah. And then in that existence, it lands to a point where it wants to get salvation for itself, because it's running into all Buddhism 101, you know. There's no real satisfaction here because everything is temporary. How can you have a real lasting satisfaction when you're imbibing what comes and goes? Yes. And so it goes on, it tries to explain why you're at the wrong store, so to speak, and you're getting frustrated. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know where I was there, but so there's the selfing, the claiming, yes. And it does it through selfing. And I've had it so many times. The person hears the statement about selfing, they sort of get it. And then they send me an email. Oh, I've been selfing all day, or selfing's been driving me crazy. See, the object of the selfing is what the selfing is about. It's trying to imply a subject, which is reality, is an object, which is the non-existent thing. Yes? So our subjectivity seemingly forgets itself through the identification as the object, and it's brought back to that many times by all of the mental processes. That's their main job, is for you to be remembered as a thing, to be thought about as a thing, to be worried about as a thing, yeah? And just fucking forget about no thing, yeah? Forget it. Don't. Who looks really at the space in this room? Very rarely. You see, you look at the things in it. Yes. Yeah. These are strong habits. So it wants to keep our attention off of the fact of it's a failed system, basically. Yeah. Because once you see it from what you are, and you can easily do that because all seeing is from what you are. The idea of being a looker is a bastardization of the claiming of the seeing, but all seeing is of what you are, and all the observers were hatched by observing. The observing is true, the awareness, the witnessing, but the idea that there's a witness or the observer is a claiming of that. Yeah. Now, wherever we are, that mental state will arrive and claim it. So if you become super clear, it will tell you, you just become super clear. And now you're bound, not by the clarity, but by the claiming of being the one who's clear. Because I've met a lot of people who are super clear, but they're not clear about that. They are. They're super clear, but they're not clear that they're not a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. But they're clear about psychology and other shit, but they're not clear about that, yeah? So where does that clarity go? Who cares, really? Yeah, it's like being a professor of holes, yet you still fall into holes. I'd rather have a ladder than a professorship. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's what we do every week, I feel, hopefully. We attempt to, we we threaten to bang the same nail with the same hammer, and then we throw some fucking humor in there. But it's basically banging the same nail with the same hammer. Yeah. And you know, it's really how you hear it. You're not going to ever get it if you hear it from what you're not. It's a bummer. It is, yeah. But if you hear it from what you are, it makes complete sense. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you hear you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha from Buddha, it's fucking, oh, thanks for that tip. I seemingly forgot there for 40 years. Whoops. Yeah. But if Paul hears it, it's a drag because Paul sees it as a threat that of his 30-year Buddhahood, of being in Buddhist practices. Yeah. So suddenly a beautiful message is taken as a threat by where you hear it from. Yeah. For me, I was exhausted, I guess. So when I heard it, it was great news and it was very disarming. And then I saw a different purpose to all that guilt and shame that was always floating around. Yeah, I had never seen that it was reinforcing a false premise before. I never did until I did. And then when I did, I'd never not seen it, which is pretty good. That's how whack it can be, because it's profoundly so. I don't believe non-duality is like, a fantasy spaceship going through the multi-universe. I don't. I believe it's factual. I believe, in fact, there are not two. There are no two. Yeah. And this idea of two-ness gives birth to a conceptual idea of oneness as the fucking promised land. But oneness is just a derivative of two-ness. Yeah, it's noneness is the key. Zero is the primary number of this mathematics. Not one, not two, zero. Yeah. Yeah. So let a verb be a verb. Yeah. And you'll realize and look for a noun and it can't be found. Can you find you really? The only way the idea of Joyce holds out is the world has a lot of reflective surfaces. Windows, mirrors, fucking rear view windows. Mirrors constantly, other people's glasses. Now we have a screen. We walk around with Narcissus' pond. It went mobile. We can just look at ourselves for fucking keep the convincing going. Really, isn't it? Can you imagine just looking at yourself all day? Obviously you're gonna, well, I wouldn't look almost at anyone else, so I must be in a great cherishing of this body because I think it's my body. Yes, it has something to do as the true reference of what I am here. Yeah, isn't there's nothing right or wrong with the body, but being that as the center is just a mistake. Yeah, can be easily corrected because it never really happened. It can only seemingly be so. Something has to be entertaining it, which is what we are. Yeah. False evidence appears real only through appearing to reality as that. That's the only way. False evidence doesn't have the ability to appear real. It's false evidence. It's given the ability by the observing of it. And when we're observing of it from a thingness, we're giving it a reality of a thing. Yes? How are things going to work out when the first movement is off? When you're living an interpretation that the cart is definitely in front of the horse when it isn't. Yeah. And when the correction occurs and then you see the horse in front of the cart, it tells you it's always been that way. It was just a misperception thinking the cart was in front of the horse. It was never that way. There was never any huge or heavy lifting needed to get the horse in front of the cart. It's never not been that way. Yes, never. The presence just doesn't show up when you seem to think you're awake. The presence is always available at all times, right where we are. The joy or the lack of joy of it is noticing. Yeah. Yeah. If you're noticing it as you, you're not noticing it. You're noticing you. When there's noticing it, there's noticing of presence. When you're noticing it, there's noticing of you. The presence is auxiliary. Yeah. Yeah. It's not, oh, I'm really bad. No, it's not fucking volitional. It's mechanical. Yeah. If you try to lose interest in what you're not as what you're not, that's more interest in what you're not. Just the way it goes. We have it in innate recovery. Quit playing God. Well, let's say what you're not is playing God, and what you're not hears that. You have to quit playing God, so that which is playing God sets out on a course to quit playing God, which is playing God. So that which is playing God can't quit playing God, because that would be playing God ad infinitum. How are you going to get out of that if you're in it? The only place to question it is before you believe you're in it, or just see you're not that which believes you're in it. You've got to have a view, not from it, because from it, it's tainted already. Yeah. That's why when you walk in this room, not you, Joyce, all of us, we make this message, we give it the meaning it has for us. We do. It's part and parcel of the delivery. Yeah. Any documentary that could be given will become a fucking film to you. It will become an interpretive drama. Yeah, that's what happens. It's not personal. You're not doing it. This is what we are. And the seeing of what we're not, which is all that, is in a way how you get the intimacy of what you are, because you are the seeing of what you're not, really. You are not the seer of what you're not. You are the seeing of what you're not. It's quite different. Yeah. So, yeah. I think that's it. And then there's a whole fucking screen of people. Yeah. Ooh, I felt like I was undressing in my own room. Oh, I've got 36 people watching me. I could get into this. No. Nor has his hand up. I don't see his hand. Oh, he doesn't even have to do it physically now. It's just, all right.
The yellow thing.
Yes, the yellow.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nora.
I didn't mean for my something
Yes.
else up, my hand up.
Good.
I didn't do it.
Oh, you didn't do it. All right. Good. Let's move on. Thank you, Nora. That was nice. Let's have more of those. What?
Do you want me to ask one or do you know the screen?
No. If you want to, honey, go ahead.
Question stood up behind the camera.
God, this is like this.
We're gonna make it harder. We're gonna make it harder for Joyce to ask questions. All right, you gotta go around the block.
Joyce,
There you go.
Dad, no, I forgot about, okay, remember just now the story you were talking about when we know we're not aligned. Let's say we know we're not aligned.
No, you know you're not a sheep.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know, okay, we know you're not a sheep, which means we don't have the limitations of a sheep, thinking we can't do that. We can't
No,
do that.
you have limitations of a sheep in some respects as this. You're just not a sheep.
Well, I'm thinking of manifestation in the most genuine sense, not the shiny car or the bike or something, but when you manifest things because you're.
Yeah, that can happen, but it's not,
It seems to be the same as knowing that you're not a sheep. Because when you're the lion, it's not manifestation. You don't have to call it manifestation. You could call it anything, but you're living in a different reality or a different way of moving about. Wouldn't you say? Traveling lighter, whatever you're.
well, sometimes you're living as the sheep, but you're not the sheep, which is awesome. The sheep doesn't start manifesting as a lion, really. It just, you become okay with being a sheep because you're not one. Yeah, and then you have great benefits from unforeseen or unsuspected resources. Yes.
Right, okay, I mean, manifestation could be a great benefit.
Yeah, but the manifestations aren't, they're not like rote manifestations.
Yeah, I get that.
They're just, it can go any way it wants.
You
Yeah.
maybe can see a little,
Yeah,
Clear
or you really,
presence.
what happens usually, in my case, it was more of an acceptance of that which I was trying to get out of since I was 6 years old. So there was an acceptance of the fact that I wasn't leaving here, which was hard news to swallow. And yeah, and with that acceptance, a lot of things that were on hold were released and the screen started moving more. Yeah, yeah. But actually, manifestations are on a much smaller scale, which I like. I don't want to be going to like the highest cave in the Himalayas, really. I just want to go get a coffee after this. And I'm very simple. I have very meager goals during the day or the week. Yeah.
you have a great Italian coffee maker though,
I know, great one.
so it sounds working out for you.
Yeah, I'm covered. I have 4 of them. That's where my security lies. But yes, manifestations can be. A lot of things can or cannot change. It's just basically, you know, a lot of people have a lot of stories why they are or they aren't the way they are. Most of that can be answered by non-duality, really. It does, because a lot of the questions are only being propped up by your interest in the question. Yeah, when you lose it, you lose interest in why a lot and why this isn't working or that's not working. You just have a different, you almost can look like you're dumb in a lot of levels. You know, you're just walking around, hanging out, and someone says, all right, let's get to philosophical 101. I'm you know, I'm not, I talk to someone who's knows tons of shit. It's like overwhelming because I don't feel like I know anything, which is great in one level. I'm very happy about it because then you're empty and, you know, the sound of the hummingbird can fill you up. Yeah, you've got vacancy, so a lot of shit can show up. Yeah, so. Before I wanted to transcend. I did. I thought my blue eyes would get bluer and I'd have, you wouldn't be able to touch me anymore, really. That's what happened. It flipped me out when I was a kid that, you know, love hurt. You know, losing my mom, my father and grandmother. My grandmother was the essence of love to me, passed away when I was 9. It left a huge vacuum and the head basically took its place. Right? And then my head just basically set up strategies not to get fucking hurt anymore. And it was looking for how to facilitate that, and getting loaded was a pretty good way. Because if you have a feeling already in place, when a feeling comes at you, you almost have like a shield to getting really hit by that punch because you're punching yourself. Makes no sense, but it did in a lot of ways. Yeah, and then I got, see, the thing is with the head, when something flips it out, instead of just closing that one window, all windows close. And then it's very difficult to get them back up. Yeah. So therefore you're trapped in your own defense. Yeah. And then you start feeling not alive because your idea of being safe alive is being separated, you know, and you live in an aquarium. It's not that satisfying. Yes. So then you have to jolt yourself into shit. You know, who needs to shoot cocaine in their neck? Not many people. That's a lot of people get to that because they're bereft of being able to feel anything because they've made a great deal with the devil in a sense. They didn't, but they've taken all that faith they represented has gone to the mental state, and they're believing the mental state's opinion and take on you and them and world and everything like that, and you're just suffocated by its assurance when it's failed. You know, it's completely assured that it's a great working system and it's a failed system. Yeah. So this message was just so incredible because the urban renewal project of Paul stopped. It just was the budget went in other ways. Yeah, and it's enriched my life with a lot less emphasis than of the my, basically. Yeah, yeah. The my is, if you could just look at that in your head, just see how much is triggered by the word my. Yeah, that gives you a little sense of you and I give everything all the meaning it has. Just look at the word my in your life and the topic that's important to you. So money, all right, money, my money, hugely different. Yeah, money, I'd like everyone to have it. My money, I don't want any of you to have it. Yeah. So the my, what's that going on? Have you ever noticed that? How much meaning is given by just a little word my? You don't change any letters of the word that comes after it, yet the meaning is completely different just by putting the inference of my. That's the bondage of self. That's the activity of being firm in faith in that something else we've made to be ourselves. You want an image, a visual to go with the statement. There's the visual. That's what really works. When the statement is accompanied by illustrations, you get that. Yeah. So when you hear, oh, firm in faith in something else, and there's something else you've made to be yourself, and actively denying what you are. Oh, no one thinks they're in the act of denying what they are today, mostly, but that's what we're in. Because the head isn't firm in faith and there's something else. It's made to be itself. The opposite side of that coin, because this is called duality. So when your commerce is gone by with these coins, you get both sides. So when the mental state, the faith has gone into the mental state, and you're firm in faith in being this something else you made to be yourself, you're in the active denial of what you are. That's the conditions. Yeah, that's the condition. All right. So no one's going to go, oh, I'm in the active denial of what you are. Let's just explain. There's an activity. Yeah, that's firm in faith in being this something else you have made to be yourself. You've taken it to be you. Yes, that's the delusion we seem to be living. And when you get that, and then you'll realize what that is an active denial of what you are. You don't start at the active denial of what you are. You explain the activity, and then you go to the active denial of what you are, because you recognize the activity is doing just that. Okay. Yeah. And there's a story that you're doing both, and you're not doing either. Yeah. So you're just the witnessing or the seeing. You're not the seer or the witnesser. You're awareness. Yeah. And now the aperture is opened up, and now more is captured by the awareness. Not that there's more, but there's more that's captured by the awareness. Yeah. So you see more. And what do you see? Hopefully it fits with the descriptions we give at these talks. Yeah. And then you hear the description, and you have the image, something triggers, that's a fucking message. That's like a ham sandwich with a lot of prosciutto in it. That's good. Not just with the 2 pieces of bread, but you get some meat. Yeah, that's the message. That's the message.
Vegetarian.
Well, vegetarian, so the never burger or whatever. We'll give you that with a lot of mayo. Yeah. So basically, you recognize something from what you are. And obviously, therefore, what you recognize is what you're not, obviously. And suddenly you feel like I am the seeing of shit. I'm not something that can be seen. Yeah. You don't have to shout it out on the rooftops. It starts becoming the way you live. And you have an attitude and outlook based on that premise, which is factual, than the false premise. That's all. Yeah. And what gets revealed? More of the falseness. Yeah. And what gets intimated? More of the realness. Yeah. Yeah. I have faith in this message. I have. I've come to this ammonia-soaked room for fucking years. not because I like to or I don't like to, just because this is true. Yeah, and put it out there. Now, if it's, I don't know if it's true to you, for you or not, but you have the right to hear it. And if you show up, you're gonna hear it. Yeah, if you don't show up, you won't hear it. Doesn't matter to me, really. Yeah, so, yeah. So any other questions, C. Joyce? Yeah.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
great.
But manifest, yeah. The manifesting, you know, has a lot of meaning, yeah, and it's since the 70s.
A lot of new age stuff with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna manifest. I'm manifesting love in my life. Oh yeah. All right, sure. Yeah. All right. Anyone else, Mike? Oh, no hands. Great. I like this. Everyone like the Zoom and the live thing. I hope the live
So
people.
you got 2 questions now.
What? I'm asking a question. Just give us a thumbs up or not. You better, because there won't be any Zooms anymore. Oh, no.
Live is better.
Yes. Who is it? Oh, Mike, yes. I can see half your face. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah,
I see half of me. So yeah, I just wanted to jump on and say
I
thanks
can't
for
hear you.
running.
I can't hear you.
Wait.
He's from Milton,
Okay,
actually,
start
south
over.
of Milton.
Okay, I've unmuted. Let's see what's happening.
No,
Yeah,
Can you hear me
you're
now?
good. Yes, yes, loud and
Good.
clear.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for running these
You're welcome.
on Zoom because I can't be there. I'd be there if I could.
Yeah, that would be good.
Oh.
We'll be back there. We'll be back in Melbourne too.
Awesome. Yes, I say hello, Amelia, for me. But there's one question around motivation. Like I had no questions at all for most of this meeting, and then it just occurred to me because there is still something there that wants to know if I let go of it all, then that idea of motivation and then surviving. So the idea of just wanting, big motivation is to go out and get a coffee.
Yeah.
So there is still an element there that's frightened of just saying, well, if I don't push myself to work, then no income,
Yeah.
big problems. Can you
That's
talk
an
to
old
that?
remnant. That's an old remnant. Yeah. It's got about 1% battery life. It keeps. Yeah. Don't worry about it. The fact is, you're already in the condition that you think would produce no whatever you call it, motivation. So motivation isn't of us. There's just motivation. Yeah. 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 If you think losing the self is going to affect your motivation, there's never been a self. So I don't see losing of self affecting the motivation. It may be, your motivation may go in other ways. You may be motivated not to be motivated, but there will be motivation. Seriously. Yeah. I'm extremely motivated not to be motivated.
Were you spot on with the 1%? Because I can't even really ask the question with too much conviction.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, I know.
the evidence has been showing me over time
Yes.
that
Yeah.
that's not true. But there's still that little piece there.
Well, it's not you. So yeah, the radio doesn't have to be off not to be your radio. Yeah. It just plays in the kitchen and shit. Sometimes there's a nice song it remembers. Good. Yeah. Nice old you ever hear Electric Ladyland by Jimi Hendrix? That was a great album where he goes to Atlantis. Yeah, he becomes a merman, so to speak. It's a great song. Goes on for about 12 minutes. Yeah. By the time you hit 6 minutes, you've lost all questions. But I recommend it. It's very cool. It has a great chorus when he arrives at Atlantis. One of the greatest rock and roll choruses, I think. There you go.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Electric
Thanks,
Ladyland. Yeah. I don't know why it came to me. I used to like it. It goes underwater, and he's had enough of the on land, and they go to and they're greeted by Atlantis, the Atlanteans, with great cheer. It's really you all go home and listen to it. Yeah, anyone else? Now, isn't that, we just brought up Electric Ladyland. Last week it was James Cagney. Yeah, fuck you guys. Adyashanti and Muji. Come up with that. James Cagney interview.
Yeah.
How can you find satsang in a James Cagney interview? Go to the last couple of meetings. It was a great interview. You should see it by a guy from was a talk show host in New York in the 80s, I guess. And the guy wanted James Cagney to be James Cagney so much, and James Cagney wasn't buying any of it. The guy's going, "Don't you know people love you?" He's going, no, just everything just flows. Goes, "But you're James Cagney." No. The guy was more James Cagney than he was, James Cagney. And James Cagney wasn't buying any of it. It was great. I thought it was a great interview. Incredible. Yeah, because he's just going, just flow, just went, just things happened. Well, was it hard? No, it just flowed, just happened. It was incredible, really. 80-year-old at the time. All right, well, if that's it, we'll just, Philip, another Aussie. He's got his, all right, he's got his outfit.
Serial questioner. I'm a serial questioner.
Serial questioner.
Oh, serial questioner, yeah.
I haven't really got a question. I just want to say how grateful I am for you just delivering this message. You know? It's a bit like I watched that James Cagney interview, and is there a lot of echo?
No.
No. Anyway, I just realised the incredible humility that he had, in that interview. This sense, and it's like the travelling lighter is like the extracting of the my. If you just take the my out, there's this incredible release of interest, as you say, but it doesn't undermine the other interests. I still find that I still have ambition and interest in the body and interest in other things, but it's just a different sort of interest, that my extraction of the my. It's like taking out a bad tooth. It's incredible. And the traveling lighter doesn't change anything. It doesn't change your health. It doesn't seem to change what you do, but it is just that sense. It's like, as you say about the fruit, just tasting the fruit, and you can't say anything more about it because it has no substance to it. It's just a traveling light. It's just this sense of this lightness, and I listened to one of your talks the other day where everyone was saying, "Wow, this sounds very different. You're different tonight," and it's true. Every time I'm almost addicted to this satsang, to this group. But I still get something different out of it, even though you're saying the same things. And it's kind of like, it's a bit of a mystery to me why that is, because you'd think that I would get bored. It's like you talked about the dog the other day that never gets bored about chasing the ball, and it's just, I know I'm sort of mixing a lot of stuff up here. I just don't know anyone else who delivers this like you do, Paul, this obvious about talking, throwing above the head, speaking to the reality rather than sort of trying to capture the reality,
Yes.
there's a whole lot of stuff in there. But I just want to thank you so much. And I know even the other night as well, you said, don't thank me. I mean, if you knew me as a person, it's different from it's the message. Thank the message. And so I'm not sure how to thank the message, but I still want to thank you for turning up.
Yeah. But one thing I want to say about the traveling lighter, in time, it can produce a lot of health, because stress is a huge influence on a thing's condition.
True.
And the stress of being the center of the universe and being the doer of all doing and the thinking of all thinking, the thinker of all thinking, produces a lot of really mutated responsibility, which it's sort of like putting a ton in a half-ton pickup. The pickup can't handle it. Yeah. So the traveling lighter does, I find, over time affect the health of the person as the action figure greatly, because the idea that it's all about me dropping just lifts a lot of fucking weight off the person, I feel. I do. Yeah, that's why traveling lighter is an effect in the action figure world that's not produced by the action figure world. Yeah, it comes from something that we're of, and it appears, its effects can appear in the action figure world. So, the mind produces so much weight. The mind, the ownership. See, whatever you own, it owns you. This is what happens. So when you believe you're the thinker, the thoughts can own you. And just to live in that constant stress of a thought owning you is a way it owns you. Yeah, even though it may not be driving you crazy, you think it will. And so that stress is, if you keep something held in one position, arthritis sets, this discomfort will set. If you try to move, it's like trying to break something out. There's no flexibility in it. And many of us are clinched up for a punch because we're living in what's not happening. And in what's not happening, anything can happen. And the head likes to riff on sort of the negative side of anything can happen. So I noticed it quite early, like when I was having a really good time, the head would get suspicious of how long it was going to last, or when they're going to find out I don't deserve it or something. But if I felt a little weird, it would say I'm launching into a lifelong depression. I mean, it was just, it was so obvious. Why would you want to have that news feed all day? That news feed coming in all day without any discernment or discrimination. It's insane. So the mind,
I call it awfulization was a huge part of my life, so awfulizing everything. And it still happens, but I just don't believe it anymore. It's like it's true. Still trying to tell me that the worst is going to happen, but you're right. And it does relieve, the tension in the body just from that anxiety is it's just magic.
Yes, the anxiety is probably a huge source of what they call the inflammation, because obviously it's act and react. So you're living in anxiety. And then the body reacts as if it's true, and therefore it fucking sets itself on fire, and the fire becomes a bigger problem than the anxiety. But this is all the biggest mover in dreaming is mind, yeah? So what they used to say, Jesus would always point it out when he was healing somebody. It's done according to your faith. It's done according to your belief. Yeah. So check it out. See, a lot of people are under the great influence of a mental state that's not even of theirs. It's just like Hal in 2001. The computer has gone crazy. It's taken over the mission. And there's no talking to Hal.
No.
How are you gonna listen to any fucking thing? So you have to sort of, I don't know, the absence of ownership really allows you to enjoy shit, tell you the truth, really. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I'm happy to see you, Philip, thank you. And
Thanks, mate. Thanks so much.
yeah.
We got Elaine Harrell.
But let's go after that, because everyone alive here has to go to get something to drink. They're sitting here like, what the fuck? The meeting's over. All right, who's this?
Elaine Harrell.
Oh, Elaine, how are you? Nice to see you.
Hi, Paul. How are you? Hi, everyone.
Good.
It's been a really good talk, and like you say, you know, as time goes on, more and more gets revealed, you know. I just want to say thank you so much. You've helped me a huge amount. But today, as you were talking, can't even remember specifics, but you know, it was helpful to know that I often, I would think that, I have clarity, but I should have it all the time. So it was really good to hear that, you know, that's not the case, because, you know, and the mind has got so much, actually shame came to mind really, but it's like, you know, I'm going around with these masks pretending that everything is okay. It is okay, but the mind will come up with so many different theories, problems, all sorts of just layers and layers of rubbish. And it's just great to see that, you know.
Yes. Well, the thing that keeps it going is more attention.
Yeah.
So when it speaks, if our reaction is that it's about us or it's us, it gets a whole load of attention, so we can just keep going. But it gets starved by its recognizing that it's not, it's foreign, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the same thing over time, it won't tell you it's occurring, but you'll notice it. There's less and less interest in it, and therefore it doesn't get to its third or fourth or fifth page. It reads the same old script, and then if you're interested in it, it adds more and more. But if you're not interested, it just dies. Yeah. Remember, in this show, it's the audience. The audience has the greatest role. The head is playing to us. We are the audience. We're giving it the reality it has. Yes, unbeknownst to us, there's a transfer of faith into this story. And then the story is given teeth. Yeah, the story is given some weight. And then we start suffering under the weight of it. And then we try to use non-duality as a way of denying it, which makes it even worse. Yes. So basically, if the shit hits the fan, fucking, you know, or if your house is on fire and you're burning, get a pail of water. Just learn ways to distract the head if it gets a little too much. Yes. There's nothing to do with you. Just take a walk. You know, I like to tell people. What? I like to tell people watch. What was it? Bloodline on Netflix. I get 5% every new person. I know, it's a show that I really liked it. I liked the writing, and I used it twice in knee operations. I passed a lot of time watching Bloodline. It helped take the mind off it. See, the thing is, if the flies are accumulating, and you keep saying there's no shit and the flies don't leave, you better get a swatter.
Whatever works.
Yeah. So just, I know you're not going there, but you triggered it because I feel sometimes we're outmatched seemingly by what's going on. And then the head will look at non-duality in like a fundamentalist way that doesn't serve us. Yeah. the best thing to do is just distract your attention from whatever it is, and then, you know, take a walk or fucking do something. Yeah, break the trance, and then things will probably fall back into place. Like Ramana would say, you know, you follow self-inquiry and it brings you to a point where, all right, that's as far as you can go, and then the grace sort of takes over. And then if the head starts getting crazy and starts seemingly going somewhere, and you're on the track with it, just ask who it is that's on the track, and use that as a skillful means to bring you back from whence you never leave. Yeah. And after being brought back from where you've never left, after a while, you realize you never leave. Yeah. And then you see all the movement of the head in a different light when you realize you never leave. You never go where it's saying you've gone. Yeah. You don't have to come back from where it tells you you were. Yeah. None of that has no relevance. So yeah, I like the idea of that. When someone has a head, instead of saying, I have no head, just ask, well, who is it? That's all. And then it brings you right back to where you never left. And then after a while, you realize you're the station, not the trains that are coming in and out of it. Yeah. Yeah. You realize you're the station that doesn't go anywhere. The trains go in and out, but the fact is the station's never gone anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Oh, I don't go anywhere.
yeah. All right. Hey, thanks, honey. Thank you.
No, thank
And
you.
Carl, your silent partner over there. Nice to see you, Carl. Anyone else, Mike, or would just take off?
It's up to you, but Mike's remains.
Let's one more question. Eh? You all right? Yeah.
Ask Mike if he still wants to ask.
Mike went to sleep. He is. He's out cold. Yeah, fantastic.
Where are we going?
We're gonna go to the firehouse. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. Firehouse. Rich, you can't go. No. Yeah, let's say goodbye. Yes. Yes.